£500 every single week. That is what thousands of students moving to the UK in 2026 are actually paying just to sleep in a bed, not live a great life, not enjoy weekends out, just to have a roof over their heads. And the scariest part? Most of them had absolutely no idea this was coming before they landed. They booked the flights, packed the bags, got accepted into their dream university, and then the housing reality hit them like a wall of cold British air. If you are planning to study in the UK, or you are already here and struggling to make sense of the costs, do not go anywhere. Because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what is happening with UK student housing in 2026, why prices have exploded the way they have, and most importantly, the real practical strategies that smart students are using right now to save hundreds of pounds every single month. Stay till the end, because I am saving the biggest money tip for last. Welcome back to NestPath UK, the channel where we cut through the confusion and give you honest real-world advice about living and studying in the United Kingdom. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe because we do this every single week. Now let us start with the numbers, because these numbers are genuinely shocking even for people who have been following the UK housing market for years. In 2022, the average weekly cost for a student room in a UK city was somewhere around £350. That already felt expensive. Then in 2023 and 2024, inflation hit the housing market hard. Landlords raised rents. Purpose-built student accommodation companies raised their rates. Utility bills went through the roof. And by the time we reached 2025, that average had climbed past £450 a week in cities like London, Manchester, Edinburgh, and Bristol. Now, in 2026, we are comfortably at £500 a week or above for standard ensuite rooms in those major cities. Some premium options are sitting at £600, even £700 a week. That is over £2,500 a month. That is the annual salary of many people in developing countries just for 1 month of rent. And here is what makes this even more painful. Most universities in the UK now require international students to show proof of funds covering 12 months of living expenses before they even issue the CAS letter needed for a visa. So this is not just a cost you experience when you arrive. It is a cost that shapes your entire plan before you even set foot on British soil. But before you panic or start reconsidering everything, let me give you a bit of context. Because understanding why prices are this high is actually the first step toward finding a smarter way through it. The UK student housing crisis did not appear overnight. It has been building for over a decade, and in 2026, we are seeing the full weight of several overlapping problems land at the same time. First, supply has simply not kept up with demand. The number of international students coming to the UK has grown dramatically over the past 10 years. Universities have expanded their international intake because international students pay significantly higher tuition fees than domestic students. That is just the financial reality of how UK universities operate. But nobody built enough houses or accommodation to actually hold all these extra students. The demand shot up. The supply stayed relatively flat. And when demand outpaces supply, prices rise. That is economics at its most basic. Second, the cost of building and maintaining properties has risen sharply. Labor costs, material costs, energy costs, all of it went up after 2020, and landlords and accommodation providers passed those costs directly onto tenants. Third, and this one often gets overlooked, many smaller private landlords actually left the student rental market over the last few years because of changes in tax rules and landlord regulations in England. That reduced the number of affordable private rentals available, pushing more students toward purpose-built student accommodation, the big corporate blocks, which are almost always more expensive. And fourth, the weak pound against other major currencies actually made UK costs feel relatively lower for students paying from countries with stronger currencies, which increased demand even further from places like the US, Canada, and parts of the Middle East and Asia. So you have got a perfect storm. More students, fewer affordable rooms, higher running costs, and a market that is only just beginning to understand the scale of the problem. The UK government has acknowledged the crisis. Some universities are trying to build more on-campus housing, but those solutions take years. Right now in 2026, you need a plan that works today, and that is exactly what we are going to build for you. Now let us break down the actual types of housing available to students in the UK, because not all accommodation is created equal, and understanding your options is everything. The most expensive category is purpose-built student accommodation, often called PBSA. These are the big blocks you see advertised with glossy photos of gym facilities, cinema rooms, and rooftop terraces. They are professionally managed, all-inclusive in terms of bills, and they feel safe and modern. They are also eye-wateringly expensive. In London, these can easily cost £500 to £700 a week. In cities like Manchester, Leeds, or Birmingham, you're looking at £350 to £500 a week. The all-inclusive billing is genuinely convenient, but you are paying a massive premium for that convenience. University-owned halls of residence come next. These are generally cheaper than private PBSA, and many universities try to guarantee first-year international students a place in their own halls. Costs vary enormously by university, but you can generally expect to pay between £250 and £400 a week for a standard ensuite room in a university hall. Catered options exist at some universities and can actually work out well if you factor in the cost of buying your own food separately. Then you have private house shares, and this is where the real savings start to appear. Renting a room in a private house with other students, typically 3 to 6 people sharing, can bring your weekly costs down to between £150 and £250 per week, even in competitive cities. Yes, you are sharing a kitchen. Yes, you might have one bathroom between 5 people. Yes, the house might not have a rooftop terrace. But the financial difference is enormous, and for many students, this is where the smartest decision gets made. Finally, there are homestays, which means renting a room in a family home. These are less common now than they were 10 or 15 years ago, but they still exist and can offer good value, particularly in suburbs slightly outside of city centres. Costs here can be as low as £150 a week, including meals in some cases. The city you choose also makes an enormous difference. London is in a category entirely of its own. But if your course is available in cities like Sheffield, Nottingham, Cardiff, Leicester, or Coventry, you can access the same quality of UK education at dramatically lower living costs. This is one of the most underused pieces of advice we give here at NestPath UK, and it is one that could save you tens of thousands of pounds over the course of a degree. All right, now we get to the part you have been waiting for: real strategies. Things you can actually do starting today. Book early, but do your research first. The biggest mistake students make is waiting too long to sort out housing and then scrambling to take whatever is left. But the second biggest mistake is booking too fast without comparing options. The sweet spot is starting your research at least 6 months before your course begins, comparing at least 5 to 10 different options, and then committing once you have found the right balance of price, location, and contract length. Choose a shorter contract where possible. Many accommodation providers in the UK try to lock students into a full 51-week or even 54-week contract, even though your actual academic year might only be 38 to 42 weeks. That gap is expensive. If you can find a 40 or 42-week contract, you save a significant amount of money. Some private landlords are more flexible on this than corporate student accommodation companies. Always ask. You might be surprised. Go further from campus. Accommodation directly next to or inside the university is always at a premium. But many UK cities have excellent, cheap and fast public transport. Students living 20 or 30 minutes away by bus or tram can save £200 a month compared to those living in the centre. Over a full year, that is close to £2,500 saved just by being willing to add a short commute. House share with people you have properly vetted. Random house shares can work brilliantly, or they can be a nightmare. The students who make private house shares work well are usually those who find housemates through their university social groups, international student societies, or trusted online communities. Take time to find the right people. A good house share is not just financially smart, it also dramatically improves your well-being and your whole experience of living in the UK. Understand what is and is not included in your rent. This is crucial, and so many students get caught out by it. Some accommodation prices include all bills, electricity, gas, water, broadband. Others do not. If your quoted weekly rent does not include bills, you need to add roughly £30 to £50 per week on top to cover your share of utilities. Always ask for clarity in writing before you sign anything. Use the financial support systems available to you intelligently. If you are a UK domestic student, your maintenance loan is specifically designed to help cover accommodation costs. But the amount varies significantly based on your household income and whether you live in London or outside London. Make sure you have applied for the maximum you are entitled to. Many students leave money on the table simply because they did not complete their financial assessment fully or on time. For international students, check whether your university has any emergency hardship funds or accommodation bursaries. These exist at many UK universities and are massively underused. And now, the tip I promised you at the very start. Consider applying for accommodation through university-linked housing lists in your second or third year. Many universities maintain lists of approved, inspected private landlords who rent to their students at regulated or discounted rates. These are not advertised widely. You often only find out about them by visiting your university accommodation office in person or checking the student union notice board. Some students save over £5,000 over the course of a year by accessing these less publicized options. That one visit to the accommodation office could be the most financially valuable hour you spend during your entire degree. Now I want to take a moment to talk about something that does not get discussed enough when we talk about student housing costs in the UK, and that is the emotional and mental health impact. When you are spending £500 a week on housing and you are trying to manage your studies, maybe work a part-time job, cook your own meals, and somehow build a social life in a new country, that pressure is real. It is heavy. And for a lot of students, particularly international students, who are far from family and support systems, the financial stress of accommodation is a major driver of anxiety and burnout. The students who tend to navigate this best are the ones who approach it proactively. They plan, they compare, they ask for help, they connect with their university student services early. They do not wait until they are in crisis before reaching out. If you are already in the UK and struggling with housing costs or housing insecurity, please reach out to your university student support service. Every UK university has one, and they are there to help, not judge. And if you are still planning your move to the UK, use this as a reminder that housing is one of the most important things you need to get right before you arrive. Do not treat it as an afterthought. So let us bring it all together. UK student housing in 2026 is genuinely expensive. £500 a week in major cities is the reality for many students. The causes are structural, supply problems, rising costs, increased demand, and they are not going to disappear overnight. But armed with the right knowledge and the right strategy, you absolutely can manage your housing costs, find good accommodation, and build a comfortable life while you study in the UK. Choose your city wisely. Compare your options thoroughly. Book early, but not blindly. Consider private house shares. Go a little further from campus. Understand what your rent includes. Access every financial support you are entitled to. And visit your university accommodation office in person to find those hidden, less publicized deals. That is a wrap for today here on Nespath UK. If this video helped you in any way, please hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more students who need this kind of honest, real-world information. Drop a comment below telling me which city you are planning to study in, or if you are already in the UK, tell me what you are currently paying for housing. I read every single comment, and I reply to as many as I can. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. We post every week, covering everything from visa applications to budgeting to the real day-to-day experience of life in the UK as a student. Hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.